This is a Defocus Media production.
Audio Jungle.
What's up, everyone? It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Darryl Glover. And today I'm hanging out with Dr. Adam Ramsay. And welcome to Defocus Media, optometry's #1 podcast, where we discuss the hottest topics, latest technology, eyewear, practice management, and more. So sit back, relax, and defocus. It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Darryl Glover, and today I'm hanging out with my favorite optometrist, Dr. Adam Ramsay. And today, you guys, we are making history. We are the first optometrists to ever go live on LinkedIn. This is history in the making, and it feels great to make history in the making with my colleague, Dr. Adam Ramsay. Dr. Adam Ramsay, how are you doing today, sir?
I am doing wonderful, man. Thanks for asking, man. I'm loving it out here.
Great. Well, today we really wanted to jump into the conversation of COVID-19. We wanted to do an update. You know, a lot of folks are struggling during this time. So we just wanted to really dive deep into conversation with one of our fellow optometrists that owns a private practice and just, you know, kind of pick his brain and understand what's going on behind closed doors, how he's coping, how he's managing, how he's handling his team, how he's handling his finances and all that jazz. But before we get started and jumping into that in deep detail, who is Adam Ramsay? Let's talk to Dr. Ramsay. If you don't mind just giving us a brief background of who you are, Dr. Ramsay.
I mean, that's a loaded question. Now, who is Adam Ramsay? All right, so we're going to the person. All right, we're going to the person, not Dr. Ramsay, but Adam Ramsay. Let's start from there.
Okay.
I was born in Trinidad, so the island of Trinidad, the last island in the Caribbean. I moved to the United States when I was 8. Went to the University of Florida for undergrad, Southern College of Optometry in Memphis for optometry school. Graduated in 2012, and I've been rocking and rolling ever since. I opened Socialite Vision in 2016 in its present constructed state, February 2016. So I just finished my 4-year anniversary of Socialite Vision a few weeks ago. I have a Palm Beach Gardens, Florida location. I also own 3 Indian reservation locations where I see patients on the Seminole Indian tribe reservation, their health clinics. So I see patients in there, and that has been wonderful. I do speaking all around the country, so I speak for BNL. I'm on a few advisory boards, BNL, Zeiss, a few other, numerous other advisory boards where I do speaking. And I've been loving life, man. I know what it's like to be an optometrist and to be in optometry school. And now my passion has been to help other young optometrists and to help other students, because I kind of know, I feel the feeling of what it was like to be lost and confused in those days, and wishing that I had a lifeline of somebody reaching out and saying, hey, this is what you need to do, or here's a leg up, or here's something you should do to take care of yourself, or here's some advice that you need. So I've decided that, you know what, I'm going to use my time and my platform to help as many students and to help as many young docs, and even some older docs too. But
you got to take care of the old heads too, man. You can't leave out
take care of everybody.
Optometrists. They paved the road for us, man. So you know.
and you know what? It's only like an optometrist to want to be all things to all people, right? So you want to help everybody. But at some point, you have to find a niche, and you have to say, you know what, I'm going to go deep dive into saying, hey, what do students actually need? And what do young docs 5 years and under need to get to the next level?
You know, Adam, Dr. Ramsay, I really love that you just pointed that out. And, you know, I really want to also touch on, while I have you here, your latest creation, your book. If you don't mind touching on that, because that is a true testimony of you giving back to the profession, but also you giving back to the younger generation, the millennial doctors, the students. Because in optometry school, you know, we're not really taught the business aspect of optometry. They're getting better every year, but there's a lot of things that we really need to learn. If you don't mind just giving us a brief overview of this book before we jump into this whole COVID-19 update.
I thought you'd never ask, Dr. Glover. So the name of the book is Play Chess, Not Checkers: The Practical Guide to a Warm Start Your Dream Optometric Practice. And the purpose of writing this book is to try and give somebody a nuts and bolts, a simplified version of what do I do? I say I want to be in private practice, but what is step one? There are a lot of wonderful books on the market that help you with step 2, 3, and 4. But they make the assumption that you know what your step 1 is. And I think that is a stumbling block for most young docs that are either graduating now and want to start right away, or they're working in a commercial setting, but they want to get right in, or they're working for somebody else, but they want to do it their own way. They got their own flavor, but they're really stuck on, just tell me what step 1 is. And after I get it rolling, I'll figure the rest out. But I'm having a hard time getting it rolling. So the book is designed and set up to help docs learn how to open a business. How do you set up your marketing plan? Who is your actual target patient? You know, when you're dealing with getting a loan, what do I want to do? How do I compare the different loans and the strategy I go after with the banks? So you're just really trying to find your way in this profession. And if you want to open a practice, this is what it is. Now, I get this question a lot. But what if I'm not an optometrist and I want to read the book? And I would tell you, I have learned from Best Buy. I have learned from Sears. I have learned from JCPenney's up and down. I have learned from Tesla. Do I look like I'm selling cars? I am not selling cars. I could sell some cars now. If my office stay closed any longer, I might start selling some cars. But besides that, you can learn from any industry if you take the example that is given and then you relate it to your own personal situation. Because in every description, in every story, there has to be a personal assessment. But you can look at that personal assessment and relate it to your own industry, to whatever business that you're trying to open. Because the basics of business is universal. Now, there's going to be some things that are specific to your industry that only you're actually going to know. But the basis of it is simple. Even if you're an optician and you're trying to open up an optical, you're not having a doctor in there. Or maybe you don't plan on having a doctor, but maybe you add them one on later. The way you set it up is still the same. You know, the optical is still the optical. Patient engagement and retention is still patient engagement and retention. Marketing for the office is no different with the doctor there than not a doctor there.
Right.
And then later on, if you want to add in
All right, you guys. Looks like we're having little technical difficulties here. All right, Adam, you back?
I'm back. I don't know what happened.
We broke the internet, man. This is the first time.
Man, it's coming in like that, man.
So we broke the internet, man. But you know,
let's go.
You basically teed us up for the next big thing, COVID-19. I really want you to give us an overview of, how this has truly impacted your practice. What's going on in your practice. Let's break it down from top to bottom. How many employees, how many team members do you have? How many patients are you seeing a day? Let's just really get an overall view of how your independent practice works and operates.
So it's been going about 3 weeks now that we have been shut down here in Florida. At my particular office, I have kept some staff and have furloughed others. And I've helped the staff that I have furloughed sign up for unemployment. And currently, they're doing a pretty good job of taking care of employees on unemployment. And I have the ones that I kept on staff. They have been allowing us to still see patients. So we're still seeing patients in the office on an emergency basis. Now, the tricky part is, what do you define as an emergency? And that is where you're separating out the different offices and what is available. Now, if you are -7 and your glasses broke and you don't have a current prescription, that is an emergency, right? So it depends on if you're a -50, 0.5, then no, that's not an emergency. So it's all going to be on a case-by-case basis of what is an emergency. We have patients that are having headaches and stuff like that. We're still seeing those people in. If they're diabetic and all of a sudden their vision is fluctuating, I'm seeing that patient in because I don't know if they have diabetic retinopathy. And I'm not just going to say, okay, see me in 2 months while I let the back of your eye continue to bleed. So right now, we're seeing everybody on a case-by-case basis. So we're telling them it's an emergency. If they need something, they contact us. And I've trained the staff to triage them on the phone. If there's anything that they're unsure about, they're asking me, and then I'm checking back. We have a great system. We use Weave in the office, so I can see all the text messages. I can hear all the phone calls. So the ones that do come in, I'm checking. And if I need to see somebody, I'm following back up and telling them, oh, don't worry, I'm going to see you tomorrow, X, Y, and Z. So we're still selling a ton of contacts. We even sold some glasses to patients that said, hey, I like the glasses I had last time. Can I just reorder the same thing?
Right.
Hey, we still have it in the computer. Reorder.
Easy sell. Easy sell, and also make the patient happy, and especially if they're an essential worker. You know, that's the one thing that we really have to look at. There's a lot of people out there on the front line making things happen for us. And it's very important and imperative for us as optometrists to be able to stand on the front line with them and help them with their contacts or their glasses that they may need while they're working day in and day out.
Exactly. So we're there for them, and we don't want anybody to feel like we left them on their own, or we're not here for them. My goal is to make sure patients understand that Dr. Ramsay did not leave you. Doors may be closed, the office isn't closed. The door is closed for safety reasons. But if you need something, then I'm here. And we try to set up as many vehicles to support the patients in their home as possible and do as much remote as possible. I'm taking advantage of the opportunity to reimagine the practice in new ways and saying, okay, after this is over, how do I re-engage the patient, and how do I still continue to operate a business even when tragedy strikes?
Gotcha. So, you know, you've been very innovative when it comes to COVID-19. I mean, I know you personally, and I know you're like the ultimate hustler. You know, if your back is against the wall, you're going to figure out a way to not just be profitable, but your goal always is to make someone else's life better. You want to create value to someone. And that's what you do with your patients day in and day out. You have that relationship, you cater to their needs, and that's why you have a strong following. That's why you have over 100 reviews on, you know, various review sites of 5 stars, because patients love you, they trust you, and you have that relationship. During COVID-19, what kind of resources are you using in your office to be able to cater to your patients' needs? Because we don't have the same face-to-face interaction like we used to. What are you doing in your office? What are you using in your office to truly continue that ultimate patient care that you give your patients?
So the first thing we started with was contact lenses, because that was the easy thing. And I said, okay, patients that need contact lenses, let's find a way to connect with them. But then I realized that I need a system that's going to help me so that I don't need as much staff to operate the back end. So I don't need it to be labor intensive as far as the contacts. So we are using currently Dr. Contact Lens. It works with our crystal practice management, and it goes backwards, which is the differentiator between that and say CLX or ABB's UroLens system, is that Dr. Contact Lens goes backwards. So a patient 6 months ago that ordered from you, and they now are about to run out because they only ordered a 6-month supply, they are messaging them now. With the other systems, it only goes forward. But if I'm not seeing a patient today, it can't. I don't have anybody to solicit right now to say, hey, you need it, unless I do a manual entry. So that defeats the purpose. Now, some of those systems are going to be good options when we get back going. But I needed a system that went backwards and said, hey, somebody that bought a 90-day supply 2 months ago now needs more contacts. Go ahead and text and email that client and try and get them to reorder so that while we're out of the office, it can do it automatically without us having to put our hands on it. So I think the low-hanging fruit definitely is trying to beef up and have a more robust contact lens system, so that way you can bring in the revenue and bring in the money without having to have a whole bunch of staff involved in handling the boxes, handling the orders, handling the credit cards, all that. You need something that's not going to be involved with you at all, and just use your electronic medical records to data mine the patients and to bring in revenue to the practice.
And you know, one thing that I love about Dr. Contact Lenses is it was actually developed by 2 optometrists, Jennifer and Brianna. And, you know, their goal was to make it so that no one's left out of that cycle in regards to the contact lens purchase. So I really take my hat off to those ladies. And I'm glad that they came out with this software prior to this COVID-19, because it has really changed the game. And like you said, you're able to go back, unlike some of these other companies. So that's a great resource. What other resources do you have, Dr. Ramsay?
The next thing we set up was I wanted an online store to sell them more than just the contacts. So the contacts are one thing, but what about drops, foam, vitamin, eye scrubs, macular degeneration vitamins? What about over-the-counter readers? What about glasses cases and spray bottles? So we partnered with My Eye Store, and I don't have any monetary reason to mention these people. I'm just trying to give the people some information. But we partnered with My Eye Store, and it was actually a pretty painless and seamless setup in which it's socialitevision.myeyestore.com, and the patient clicks on that, and they can see the products and services that we provide, and that My Eye Store actually holds the actual products and ships it from their location. So our job is just to get patients to actually use that as the back end, but we don't have to actually manually stock any of the items. They have the Oxysofts and the Zocular and all the vitamins and the foams and the readers and all that stuff in their warehouse. And the patient is actually just selecting from that list. And then it's ordered, it gets shipped from their warehouse, and then they're sending us a check for the difference. So it's a pretty good system. Once again, it was a part of my, okay, I'm shut down. And literally within 1 week, the stuff I'm mentioning right now was the stuff that I got up and running, because I was like, okay, I'm shut down, but that doesn't mean the hustle stops. And that's the difference. There's multiple hats to be worn in the office. So I'm wearing my hat right now, but there's multiple hats you got to wear, because some days you come into the office and you're the doctor. And another day you come into the office and you're the owner. And some days I come into the office and I'm the janitor. And some days I'm the optician. And some days you're the receptionist. So it depends on what the hat is required for that day. So when I wasn't able to be the doctor because I didn't have a patient to see that day, it became my job to be the entrepreneur of the office, to be the business owner. And as a business owner, how can I still connect with the patient? How can I still provide goods and services with that patient, no matter if my physical location is closed? And I have tried to put my time and energy into products and systems that are going to last beyond just when this coronavirus is happening. These are things that we're going to continue to utilize and do even after this is over. So we're really excited about the partnerships with different organizations.
Tell me this, Dr. Ramsay, I'm curious. I know that you're using Dr. Contact Lens, but you're also using the Eye Store as well for contact lens, correct?
Say it again?
Are you using the My Eye Store for contact lens sales as well?
You can use My Eye Store for the contact lenses as well. The benefit to the My Eye Store for the contacts is that somebody who's not my current patient can submit a contact lens prescription through that. So the My Eye Store can sell contacts as well. But right now it's not integrated with my EHR system. So I would have to if it's my own patient, I have to then manually do that myself or approve it and stuff like that. So the benefit to the Dr. Contact Lens is that I'm more hands off. With the My Eye Store, I have to be a little bit more hands on. So it really depends. You have to look and see what your EHR system is and which one actually integrates with your system, and decide what's a better value for you.
Great. Well, let's go to the $1 million question, man. Telehealth. There's tons of platforms out there, and everyone has their 2 cents that they want to add in. Telehealth, telemedicine. Let's talk about it. What platforms are out there? What platforms have you used? And just give us a little bit about your experience with using those platforms.
So I have been looking into telehealth for about a year. So this was even before this started. I was trying to find a way to integrate some virtual ways to connect with my patients. And because I grew up in Broward, further away from me, I have a lot of patients that don't live near me. And because I had a lot of snowbird patients, a lot of them go back to New York and Connecticut and whatever, and I can't see them the way I want to. So I've been looking into different systems for a really long time. So currently you have a lot of options on the market. There is one that is distinctly made for optometry, which would be my iCare Live. So that one has been made for and by optometrists for the eye care space. And then you have a lot of generic ones that are popping up that you're then going to have to make it work. You're going to have to then try and utilize to the best of your ability to allow those systems to work and do some workarounds. None of the systems are perfect. There is not one that I would say is 100% perfect. They all got work to do. But until this happened, they didn't really have the room and the ability to do that because the rules were very restrictive. The rules have now been relaxed quite a bit to allow more people to get involved, more people to get engaged, and there's more money being put in. iCare Live is a great system. Their system integrates with your EHR, and it has a VA that ability to test visual acuity, and it has been tested and approved. So that is one differentiator within that system, that it can pull from your EHR and they can actually push back towards into your EHR for anything that you do inside of their system. Now, currently, it requires you to download an application before you can get started. So there is a little stumbling block on connection between the doctor and the patient in their ability to download the app and fill in the information needed before you could actually see that patient. Now, in my practice, I have chosen to go with a different system just because of that stumbling block. Okay. But if some of the stumbling blocks were removed from iCare Live, I do like it enough that I would go back to iCare Live if they would fix some of the stumbling blocks that I needed. But in the emergent situation that we're in, I was having patients that were in eye pain or having eye trauma and wanted to connect with me quickly. And the hard part is those stumbling blocks in iCare Live made it too obtrusive for me to get patients to get engaged with that. So I went with a system called doxy.me, and it's very simple. It literally just a link that you send to the patient. You can send it to them as a text message, an email, whatever. They click on that link, they're there. Then you go, you click on your own link, you're there. And now you have a two-way synchronous system, which is important, because to build insurance the way you want to use, which is a 99 code, you need to be able to see the patient. The patient needs to be able to see you at the same time. So, and that's what's going to allow you to actually build that system. So I'm using Doxy. There is a free version, and then there's upgraded versions to that. We got a question. Oh, look at this. Yeah.
I got one from Natalie Fine Later. She said, do you see any issues seeing new patients with the telehealth?
I personally do not have an issue seeing a new patient with telehealth, depending on what the issue is. So if it is an acute situation that I can diagnose from a video, an anterior seg issue, that I could feel comfortable with the patient's history and then what I can see from the video or from the picture that they sent me, and I feel comfortable with my diagnosis, then I have no problem. I don't really see a difference between a new and existing patient. And then even a chronic condition, let's say it's dry eye allergies, I have no problem doing a follow-up or seeing an initial patient for that as well. Now, I will tell you is that I have used the telehealth as a phone triage to start. Now, I've had some patients that I started off on a telehealth and then decided I don't have the information or the technology is not allowing me to see it the way I need to. And I tell the patient, hey, you need to meet me at the office. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll drive up and I will see you. So, and if I can't do that, then I would then refer that patient to somebody locally. Now, currently telehealth is only allowed within the state that you have a license. But if you have multiple licenses, you can see them in multiple states. So I have seen patients all around Florida, and luckily the ones that I needed to see in person, they were in my county and they just drove up. The other ones, I was able to take care of it over the phone through the system. So I hope that answered your question. The key thing I want to make sure people understand with the telehealth is how you bill for it. Because if you don't put it in and you don't do it correctly, you're going to mess up. So you have to use a 95 modifier telling the system that you're doing telehealth. And then you need a place modifier, which is an O2 modifier, to tell them that it was done not in the same place as the patient. So an O2 modifier in place of service, and then a 95 modifier on the exam code. Currently, the 99 codes are what you're going to be able to use. Now, you can do other things, which are like virtual health and virtual check-ins and stuff like that. But those are mainly for portal use. And this will be just a quick update or connection with the patient. But those are reimbursed at like $15. And for the time, energy, and effort, I don't think it's a fair reimbursement for the time. You can use the 99 codes for that, and you have to look at your the amount of things that you're able to do. So make sure you're documenting as many things as possible that you can do through doing a full history, asking them different stuff, so that you can actually get enough codes to bill the 99 codes.
Right. Great information, Dr. Ramsay. We got a few other questions here on LinkedIn. I keep looking down because I'm looking at the questions that are populating on LinkedIn. So don't think I'm ignoring you guys. I got much love for everyone out there in the eye care world. First question. Glasses sales create the best bang for your buck in terms of gross profit. Have you found a good platform for a virtual showroom floor?
That is the $1 million question. And if I knew that answer, I could charge everybody a lot of money for that. I have been on the phone with numerous places to do a virtual try-ons, and they want a lot of money. They want real money, like tens of thousands of dollars to set up the virtual online platform. So currently, I have not found the way. The issue that I'm running into currently is the sizing of the frames. So depending on how close you get and how far back, the frame will look different on the patient's face. So if the patient has a stagnant photo of them, if they made the picture too big or too small, it'll look different on their face. Right. And then the licensing of each frame. So these companies don't want you to sell online, most of them, their own frame without paying a licensing fee. So if you're going to pay a licensing fee for every frame, that's going to get pretty expensive. I hope those rules are going to change and put more power in the hands of the doctors that are buying the inventory and having those frames, but I'm not sure. But I do not have a virtual try-on answer. I wish I did. I've read every single magazine and blog and podcast, and nobody's given that answer yet. So hopefully they'll get one that's affordable. They are available. They just are not affordable currently to make a reasonable business unless you're full-time selling glasses online. Currently, it is not an affordable thing. I think we have some more there, and I think we had some in the WhatsApp group as well.
Yeah, and also, Adam, I mentioned this the other day when we were on a call and also on a board meeting that I was in earlier. Instagram, they're working on really trying to shorten that purchase cycle when people go on Instagram and they buy a product. And I know they're working with various companies with artificial intelligence, that technology to help people be able to make their purchase cycle shorter, but also give people more real world experience with the product, being that they can't touch it. And there was an article last year that I saw that Warby Parker is actually, working with them to shorten that cycle and have virtual try-ons and being able to purchase a pair of glasses from there. So I see it coming. It will be here in the future. We'll probably see it more economical through social media than we'll see on these third-party platforms. And once they see that it's integrated in social media, they'll definitely get their act together, and we'll see a change in that price point.
I have found ways to get the PD. So there's some apps on your phone right now that can give you the PD pretty accurately. And even the seg height. I found another one that had a pretty decent seg height. The issue is the patient would already have to have the frame. So if I'm buying it, if they had their own frame and they want me to put lenses in them, I have found some apps that you can use for that. And you can just Google PD measurement, and it comes right up. It's not anything that you couldn't find if you took 5 minutes to find it. But the problem is the patient would have to already have that frame. So they're buying it online unless you had a software that they were then going to license out that would then allow you to have thousands of frames in a virtual back end space, and then have a software to give you PD and seg heights for that to then put in there. That is a difficult part. And then what happens when you sell the frame on the wall, patient buys it on your online store, that frame now is either discontinued or you can't get it. How do you fulfill those orders? So the glasses part is extremely tricky, and I do not have an answer right away for you guys just yet. But when I do, just follow me on social media, and you'll see it. You can copy it as soon as I drop it.
Well, we have questions popping up. I got another question here on LinkedIn, and then we'll move to some of these other platforms. But Ralph mentioned, what about places like My Eye Lab? where they have the phoropters set up and doctors refracting from a remote location. What are your thoughts in regards to that, especially in this climate right now with COVID-19?
So, that my lab I'm in South Florida. They go by Stan and my lab right here. So I have them 15 minutes from my office. So that is, I have seen that, and that is available. People have been pretty against that up until today. So that's why I don't really let people talk and make all this noise, because what somebody said they won't do changes when you can't function and operate the way you used to. Some of the same people that was like wagging their finger against certain things, now all of a sudden when their money dry up, all of a sudden they're like, well,
come on.
It ain't so bad. I mean, it ain't so bad. You got to keep 6 feet away from people. The roadblock I'm having there is that you still have to have a person in the store. So all you're doing is saying that the doctor won't die, but you're still telling me that you're putting the staff at risk. So if you won't show up in the store because you're scared for your life, what does that mean to me as a staffer to say that you'll risk my life, but you won't risk yours? Now, those systems are good for people that live in rural areas and they can't find a doctor to come. So say you've been trying to hire somebody for a year and nobody will come to the city that you are in, but you can get staffers to be there. So this virus is over. We're back to normal. But in rural Alabama and rural Georgia, you cannot find a doctor to come to your city, but you can have staff to staff it. Then I don't see a problem with that system if you've tried. But we have some commercial places that you can get a doctor locally and they're still kicking doctors out and using a virtual system. And I'm not comfortable with that. And I don't feel like that's right. But I think the patient has to decide that the type of exam I get from that virtual system, if I can get an actual doctor to see me in person, then I would choose to do that. So I would say if a business wants to operate like that, that's on them. It's really up to me to make sure that my exam is so good that they don't want to utilize those services. Because if the patient can't tell the difference between my exam and somebody else's, then that's a fault on me. That's not a fault on the system or the other business. If they can't tell the difference between a Socialite Vision exam and something virtual that's going on, then that's a fault on me, because that patient still has to drive somewhere. Right. So it's not making it so the patient can do it from their house. So if you can drive there, you should be able to drive to my office. So if they choose to drive there over driving to my office, then that's a fault on me. And I have to look at my own office systems and figure that out. So I don't, that's me. I don't never worry about competition and things down the street. I look at myself as the Bentley dealership, and the Bentley dealership don't care if Kia open up a store across the street. Bentley ain't sitting there like, oh my God, Kia opened up another one. They're gonna be selling these Kia Optimums. Oh man, they gonna kill me.
Right.
No, the Bentley dealership. I ain't worried about Kia. And too often doctors are too worried about all the people because they don't know who their competition is. They don't know who they are, and they're trying to serve everybody. So they get concerned for everybody. Yeah.
I mean, I think the main thing is we have to, as optometrists, just realize that we have to create relationships. We have to create an experience. We shouldn't be worried about, the next person down the street. If we're going to be worried about something, we need to really be worried about legislation, keeping our current rights to practice optometry, being able to expand our scope of practice. That's the things that we need to put that type of energy in, but not our colleague down the street. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to do and you're helping people, you're always going to get that financial reward afterwards. So you just got to do your part, do your job. And like Adam said, you got to be that Bentley dealership. I'm looking forward to seeing you jump in that Bentley next year as well, Adam.
Listen, man, I'm not against it. The second I can get it, I'm getting it. Ain't nothing stopping me. If I deserve it, I'm going for it.
Now, there was another question that was a follow-up from one earlier, Dr. Ramsay. I put, if you have to see them in person, are they charged for the telehealth exam and the office exam? I believe if you see them right after, within that 24-hour mark or something after they call, you can't charge them for the telehealth. You can only charge them for the exam when you see them in the office, correct?
It's exactly. So what I've done is I charge $50 for my telehealth services for the exam, or I can bill it to their insurance, depending on if their insurance allows telehealth. You have to really check and make sure not every insurance plan is reimbursing for telehealth. And in some patients, their specialist copay, which is what I would normally charge, is about $50 anyway. So I'm pretty much charging that specialist copay. If that patient then turns into an in-office patient exam, then I would just bill the in-office version. And then because I'm going to see that patient 30 minutes later. So all I'm doing is I did part of my exam. I did my chief complaint and my history on the phone, and I just did the in-office part of the exam in person. So it's just a continuation. So I would not charge them twice, because in the office, it should be much quicker, because I don't need to ask them why they're coming in, because I already know. So in office, I'm going to be looking at them, I'm going to stain them, I'm going to dilate, do that part, and then we're out from there. So I would only charge them once, but the in-office then would be more. So I would actually get paid more.
So, Adam, what I want to get into next is, something that, a lot of folks have been talking about. I mean, we all are concerned about that money coming into the office, that bottom line. Let's talk about your experience and your exposure with PPP and EIDL. Let's also touch briefly on what did you do with your team members in your office? Are they still there? Did you let them go? Did you furlough them? Did you fire them? I mean, or lay them off? What did you actually do in your practice?
So there's a difference between laying off and furloughing. So when you lay off, it means you're not planning on bringing that person back. Furlough means I can't pay you right now, but when I am able to pay you, I plan on bringing you back as an employee of my office. So I want to make sure doctors understand the difference, because there is a difference legally and there's a difference to the staffers. So at my office, I furloughed most of the employees, 75% of them, because we're shut down. I did keep staff that are helping me function within the office. And then I applied for all the loans and stuff that were available. So, and then I helped the staff that I did furlough apply for unemployment, and most of them got through with the unemployment doing a paper application, because the online was terrible and the website was going down. So we got them a printed application. I just helped them actually apply on paper. And if they've ever been on unemployment before, the process was much quicker and simpler for them to start getting paid because they were already in the system. After I did that, I applied for both loans. So the economic injury disaster loan that came out, that application was available first. I ended up having to do it twice, because I used the original one, and then they said the original one was no good. You need to do this new one. The new one was actually very simple. So it literally took me 5 or 10 minutes. They barely asked me any questions. They asked me a couple of things: putting in tax ID, what's your social, what's your address, how much revenue did you do last year, how much was your cost of goods, and how many employees you have. And it was pretty self-explanatory on that. That you can get. Right now, they're saying $1,000 per employee that you had as of January of this year, up to $10,000 or 10 employees. So you can get that. They said quickly, but ain't nobody got that money yet. So that quick to them is not the way I talk about quick. I don't know what their interpretation of quick, fast is, but I have not gotten that, and I haven't heard anybody actually get that yet. But up to that 10,000 was a grant that you do not have to pay back. Beyond that 10,000. You would have to actually pay back at 3.75%, and you had up to 30 years to pay that back. But you have a 1-year deferment, so with no prepayment penalty. So you could take that money out, then pay it back within a year, and don't even pay the 3.75% interest. So from my perspective, I would take the money, because I don't know what's going to happen afterwards. If I end up being okay, I don't need the money, my business starts back thriving, all those patients that were waiting, run into my office and just want to hand me money every day, and I don't need the money, then I can pay that back within a year, and no penalty, no tax, no interest, no nothing. So from my perspective, you take the money, they're offering it to you, and then pay it back if you end up not needing it. The other loan that was just made more available as of last week, which was the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP program. This one has been a little bit more tricky. You have to then apply because the first one, the EIDL loan, was done through the SBA. So you're applying to the government, and the government is supposed to be doing this directly. The PPP program is going to be done through individual lenders on the ground in your local city.
Right.
Now, they wanted you to go with a lender that you already had a business relationship with. Now, the issue with this is that they made the assumption that everybody had a business relationship with a bank. Let's say you were a barber and you never took out a loan to open your business. Then all I have is a checking account. And from a bank standpoint, that is not a business relationship. If they've never charged you interest, you are not really a client to them. If they ain't never made no profit off of you, you're not a client. You holding some money, but your account going in and out. So you're not really a business relationship. When they say business relationship, they talking about if you ain't never give me no money, we not in business together. So you had to either have a loan that you were paying on, so you were paying them interest, or have a credit card that you had with them that you were paying them interest. So they never profit. If no bank ever profited from you, you have no business relationship. So the first round of money and applications went out to people that had business relationships with banks. The tricky part is now, can the people that do not have or didn't need money before, because they were doing real good, they were a cash business, able to then get access to those funds. You're then going to be able to take out 2.5 times a month's payroll. Now, the tricky part is it has to be on your actual payroll. So I use ADP. You can use Paycheck. You can use whatever that you did for a W-2 pay stub. And they're going to give you 2.5 times what you paid out in a month to your staff. Now, what the tricky part is, for me especially, I also did a distribution. So I would pay myself on a W-2, and then I would do a distribution to myself if I was having a really good month. They're not going to give you 2.5 times that distribution. They're only giving you what you paid on your W-2, what you paid taxes on. So Uncle Sam, they smart. Now, the tax accountants, they give you some loopholes, but Uncle Sam will give the Caesar what is Caesar. So he still, he got me on that one. So I give it to him. He got me on that one. So only 2.5 times what your payroll is. And then you can either average your payroll over 12 months, or they said you can do what was called seasonal. So say your payroll only happened for 3 months. You get an average 3 months. Let's say you were a ski resort and you only made revenue in 3 months and you had to use it through the whole year. They were allowing you to get what you had during that seasonality. Gotcha. Of it. I think a lot of people did not get that because ski resorts don't make money in the summer. So if you make the average what I do, how much I pay my employees in the summer, that's unfair. So they're saying, hey, tell me what you did from January to June of 2019, and we're going to let you get an average of that 2.5 times to get that. And then you need to have the same number of employees. So the key thing is there's a paycheck protection. So if you had 20 employees before, by June 30th, you still have to have 20 employees to get this PPP portion forgiven. Now, if you have the same number of employees and pay out roughly the same amount of money that you did last time for those 2 months, then they're going to forgive that loan. So the trick is to make sure you use that loan for payroll. At least 75% of the money they give you has to be used for payroll. You can use the other 25% for rent and utilities. And then remember, I would tell you to separate out where you get these loans deposited. So the PPP loan should go into one bank account. I hope you have multiple bank accounts for business so that your EDIL loan can go into another account. So it's easy to show that I did not use this money for that or that money for this, so that it can be written off appropriately and you don't have any issues. If I didn't answer everything, somebody let me know and I can go into more detail.
Yeah, well, I want to kind of wrap up here. We don't want to hold everyone too long. It's been about 40 minutes, and we greatly appreciate you guys tuning in with us. But at the end of the day, Dr. Ramsay, what have you learned as a result of COVID-19? I mean, what are you going to take away from this life-changing moment that we're going through right now?
I would definitely say, reimagine your office and say, if this happened again, how am I going to be better prepared? Because this caught everybody, slipping. I thought I had multiple revenue streams. We had a lot. I do books, I do travel, I got the Indian reservation, I got this, I got that. I had about 5 revenue streams. but they always tell you to have 7. So I was too short, so I need to get 2 more. But some of these revenue streams dried up, and I still have a responsibility to my staff. So I think it's onus on us to be more creative with our revenue streams, and decide on how, when this is over, it won't actually really be over. When they open up the offices, it's not like you can go back to hugging everybody right away, because there's still going to be somebody that will be infective and asymptomatic and get you sick. So people are still going to be having to be at a distance, 6 feet away. So you definitely need to reimagine your office on how you can connect and engage your patients remotely, online, and then find ways to connect, find ways to be different. Is my rule, is just use this time to rest, reflect, and to reimagine. And then say, okay, you know what? How am I going to come back stronger in my office? And what am I going to do differently next time around? Because I really feel this opportunity, hope it doesn't come around again, but I would have never thought I would have a whole month where I was not going in seeing patients regularly. So when I'm done with this, I really want to come out of it where I've read a few books, I've written a few books, I have learned a new service, I'm bringing something new into the office, I've engaged the patients differently. I want to utilize this time wisely. And then lastly, not being able to connect with people in person really shows what you appreciate. Because, you know what I mean? Like being able to say, hey, I miss being able to go out with my friends, or I miss being able to hug my mom.
Yeah.
Now, when this is over, I'm going to go give my mom the biggest hug. I've already told her I love her. I've already done all the stuff that I want, say stuff to people, give them flowers when they can smell them. Because people are dying, people are going out, and I'm a man of saying, hey, I want to be able to tell them that. So I really feel like this is awakening. When this is over, if you really missed hanging out with this person, or you want to give this person a hug, go do that. If you need to apologize to a family member, or you need to do something, this is a chance to reset and say, you know what, I'm a bigger person. This is not that big. It's not that important to me. And use this time. When it's over, then we're gonna have a big old party, and we're gonna have a great time connecting with people, because I realize that I missed that, and it's important. And life can't get so busy that you don't have time for friends and family and real connection. I'm gonna make sure that I'm not so busy that I don't make time for my wife, for my kids that are coming.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, little Ramsey coming in October. We'll be killing the streets out here, but making sure that I have my priorities in line. So even when this starts back up, I don't make myself so busy with my 7 revenue streams that I forget what's really important, which is family, friends, and love.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, you guys. This is Dr. Adam Ramsay. Dr. Ramsay, if you don't mind just leaving your social media handle so people can reach out to you, ask questions, and also so they can get your address so they can send you some diapers.
Hey, listen, man, they want to send it, man. We get it, man. 4871 PGA Boulevard, Palm Beach Gardens. I'm taking them. Give me infant, give me the 1-year-old. Give me the whole thing. I might have a big baby. You never know. Give me the bigger one too. But DrAdamRamsay.com. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, the website. If you're searching for me, you can find me. I just want to be able to connect. So if anybody thought this information was valuable, share it with a friend. And I'm hoping to be able to come to a school or come to a city near you. I'm going to do some more virtual stuff to connect with people. Really appreciate the time that you're giving me, Dr. Glover. I love what you're doing. Defocus Media Podcast, #1 podcast in the world. I've listened to every single one of them. You know what I mean?
100,000 downloads in
counting. Oh, there you go. You're going
when we sit down and look at it, we're breaking history right now. As I mentioned earlier, we are the only platform to do a live stream as an optometrist on LinkedIn. So we are changing the game right now. And I hope to see more of this with all my other colleagues out there. Definitely want to give a shout out to Opto Turban, who's doing an incredible job with his podcast. Lunch Date with Rachel and Kate, they're killing the game. OD's on Facebook. We work with them in regards to podcasts. We have a whole network. I would love for you guys to just hit up defocusmedia.com and check it out, and find us on any of the platforms, iTunes, Google, Stitcher, you name it. We're everywhere. Dr. Ramsay, before we leave, I want you to leave one more piece of information. Where can they get that book?
Play Chess, Not Checkers. You can find it on Amazon, or you can even go to my website directly, playchessnotcheckers.net. The website is there. The Facebook page is there. All of it is there. You know what I mean? We're doing it. You can get it. If you want to learn more about how to open a practice, or you want to start a business, start here. Before you ask me any question, my first question to you when you DM me is, did you get the book? Because if you got the book, 4 out of 5 of those questions would have been answered right here. And then I answer the 5th one that's not in the book. So if you ask me a question that's not in the book, I'm going to answer it for you directly. Get the book, learn something, share it with a friend. I love it, man. Tell me, let me know what you think. Leave the book a review after you get it, because and then give me an honest review. I can take it. I'm a big boy. If there's something I should have added to the book, ask me, tell me. The book, the part 2, maybe. Hey, I got a lot of time on my hands right now. Part 2 is in writing. Read part 1. By the time you're done, you might see part 2 on Amazon coming soon.
Well, thank you again, Dr. Adam Ramsay. We greatly appreciated all your insight on COVID-19. You gave a lot of great information that people can actually take and apply to their day-to-day activities. I want you guys to tune in for the remainder of the week. We have an amazing interview on Thursday in regards to telemedicine, an amazing guest. Be on the lookout for that name. I'll launch a flyer after this. And on Friday, Dr. Adam Ramsay is going to visit us again with JD Sony, as well as Dr. Kate Ham from Lunch Date with Rachel and Kate. And we're doing what we call, what is it, Adam? What is it, Dr. Ramsay?
The student stimulus package.
And what is that about?
The student stimulus package is reaching out to the students and getting them to understand what's going on. How is it really like to be on as a practicing optometrist, and get them to relax and say, you know what, it's going to be fine. You guys are going to graduate and you're going to be fine. The profession is going to be fine. But we really want to get the questions from the students. So email, text, direct message, whatever, to any one of the panelists and ask your questions so that we answer it. And the same way we did it live here, if you post a question live, Dr. Glover is going to throw it up on the screen and we'll be able to answer it. So this one is directly for students. And then we have some doctors that have either just graduated or are graduating this year. So you'll get some panelists that are understanding what you're going through, and you'll be able to ask some questions directly, and we're going to engage. But we need the questions. So it's a Q&A session. We don't want to be talking to you. We want to engage you, and we want to get the questions from you. So if you're a student in any optometry school in the country or around the globe, and you have a question, we'll see you on Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The same place that you got this, you're going to get that on LinkedIn and on Facebook. You'll be able to engage the stream.
Thank you, Dr. Ramsay. It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Darryl Glover. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, peace, stay healthy, stay positive, and stay blessed. We'll catch you guys next time, all right? Talk to you later. All right, colleagues, and it's a wrap. Thank you dearly for hanging out with the Defocus Media team. We hope truly something resonated with you. And if it did, be sure to give us 5 stars. And make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you named it. And our handle is at Defocus Media on all platforms. And until next time, be sure to keep it 2020. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.